Chapter 1, Part 2. Rocket was the oldest, with Fish and me following after. Born only a year apart, Fish and I were nearly the same height and looked a lot alike, both with hair like sand and straw, hair like Mama's. But while I had Papa's hazel eyes, Fish had Mama's ocean blue ones. It was as if we'd each taken a little bit of Mama or a little bit of Papa and made the rest our own. I wasn't the youngest or the smallest in the family. Broody Samson was a dark and shadowy 7, and doll-faced Gypsy was 3. It was Gypsy who started calling me Mibs, when my full name, Mississippi, became far too much for her toothsome toddler tongue to manage. But that had been a relief. The name had always followed me around like one of Fish's heavy storm clouds. The itch and scritch of birthday buzz was about all I was feeling on the Thursday before the Saturday I turned 13. Sitting at the dinner table next to Papa's empty chair and ready plate, I barely ate a bite. Across from me, Gypsy prattled endlessly, counting the make-believe creatures she imagined seeing in the room, and begging me to help her name them. I pushed the food around my plate, ignoring my sister, and daydreaming about what it would be like when I got my very own Savvy. When the telephone rang, right in the middle of pot roast, mashed potatoes, and mighty unpopular green beans. As Mama rose to answer, us kids, and Grandpa Bomba too, seized the chance to plop our mashers on top of our beans while Mama's back was turned. Samson tucked some of those beans into his pockets to give to his dead pet turtle, even though Mama always said he shouldn't be giving it any of our good food, seeing how it was dead and all, and the food would just go to rot. But Samson was sure, as sadly sure, that his turtle was only hibernating, and Mama hadn't the heart to toss it from the house. We were all smiling to each other around the kitchen table at the smart way we'd taken care of those beans, when Mama dropped the phone with a rattling clatter and a single sob. Perfectly devastating. She sank to the floor, looking for all the world as if she was staring right through the checkered brown and blue linoleum to behold the burning hot lava core at the very center of the earth. "It's Papa," Mama said in a choked voice, as her perfect features stretched and pinched. A gust of wind burst from Fish's side of the table, blowing everyone's hair and sending our paper napkins flying pell-mell onto the floor. The air in the room grew warm and humid, as though the house itself had broken into a ripe, nervous sweat, and the many dusty, tightly lidded, empty-looking jars that lined the top of all the cupboards rattled and clinked like 100 toasting glasses. Outside it was already raining, fish rain. Drops hastened from a sprinkle to a downpour in seconds, as Fish stared, wide-eyed and gaping like his namesake, holding back his fear, but unable to scumble his Savvy. "Mama?" Rocket ventured. The air around him crackled with static, and his t-shirt clung to him like the socks to towels straight from the dryer. The lights on the house pulsed, and blue sparks popped and snapped at the tips of his nervous, twitching fingers. Mama looked at Papa's empty chair and waiting plate, and then she turned to us, chin trembling, and told us about the accident on the highway. She told us how Papa's car had gotten crushed up bad, like a pop can under a cowboy boot, and how he'd gone and forgotten to get out before it happened, landing himself in a room and a bed at Selena Hope Hospital, where now he lay, broken and asleep, not able to wake up. "Don't fret, child," Grandpa consoled Mama, as though they were back in time and Mama was still a young girl sitting on his knee, crying over a broken doll. "Those doctors know what's what. They'll fix your fellow up in no time. They'll get his button sewn back on." Grandpa Bomba's tone was soft and reassuring, but as the strobe-like flashes from Rocket's nervous sparks lit Grandpa's face, I could see the worry etched deep into all his wrinkles. For half of a second, I hated Papa. I hated him for working so far away from home, and for having to take the highway every day. I hated him for getting into that accident, for ruining our pot roast. Mostly, I realized that my perfect cake, with its pink and yellow frosting, was probably not going to get made, and I hated Papa for wrecking my most important birthday before it had even arrived. Then I felt the burning shame of even having those thoughts about my good, sweet Papa, and I sank low in my chair. To make amends for my selfish feelings, I sat quietly and ate every last unwelcome green bean from beneath my mashed potatoes, as Fish's rain lashed against the windows and Rocket caused every light bulb in the house to explode with a live wire zing and a popping shatter, sending shards of glass tinkling to the floor and pitching the house into darkness.